What's up, guys? Are you guys hyped? Alize Johnson and Stanley Johnson, two Johnsons in the same day. What is going on, guys? How are we feeling, Bulls Nation? Y'all should be feeling pretty damn good right now. Because I feel like, man, I called this shit. I'm just gonna say it. I called this shit. Y'all want to hear something funny? So, I literally just as the Alize Johnson news came down, finished uploading a video about Stanley Johnson. And in that video, I'll still post it. Actually, I'll post it right now. In that video, I talk about how I want Alize Johnson. This team, bro. This team is deep. This team is deep. AK is just masterclassing all over the league. It is just a masterclass of an offseason. It is just an absolute masterclass of an offseason. Let's get into why I like Alize Johnson and Stanley Johnson. We could talk about both of them. Let's talk about both of them. Someone asked Donda or CLB. Let's do a poll in the chat. We'll keep this going for a while. So, we'll get into questions in a minute here. But let's talk about Stanley Johnson first. I posted the Stanley Johnson video. That one's up if you guys want to watch it. But those are our two final roster spots. The two final roster spots have been filled by Stanley Johnson and Alize Johnson. Stanley Johnson is another defensive-minded forward. Alize Johnson is a defensive-minded forward who can get boards, who plays very scrappy. I feel like it's a little redundant to have them both, so I'm wondering if maybe there's another move coming, maybe a trade or something. But yeah, man, like Alize Johnson, I feel like is a really strong pickup for us. I'm feeling really, really good about that move. So we've got a real front office here. Finally, we've got a real front office. And yeah, okay. So the other news that just dropped, like what, minutes before the Alize Johnson news, was about Matt Thomas. Matt Thomas is a sniper, a sharpshooter, but not not much else, unfortunately. So he's going to be like a training camp guy or a two-way player. I don't know if it's been announced what exactly that contract is, but the roster spots are going to Alize Johnson and Stanley Johnson. That is our 15-man roster. It is signed and sealed, it sounds like. So we are back, bro. The Bulls are back, bro. Oh, someone said I need to make a Johnson and Johnson meme. That's a good idea. Can do that right now. Woke Lonzo says Matt Thomas is his favorite pickup of the day. I mean, that's what you're into. I'm more interested in Alize Johnson personally, but I mean, everybody's got their vibe. John Pax is having convulsions seeing these moves. Yeah, I wonder how the Reinsdorfs feel about like the fact that we're spending. Like, we are spending, bro. Matt Thomas stands since the Iowa State days. Salute SB Talk Sports. Salute. Yes, I got the old practice shirt on today. Adidas classic. Matt Thomas is the championship sealer. Yeah, so it's interesting that, to me, with Alize Johnson and Stanley Johnson, that it's a little redundant. Like, I'm not trying to be negative, but it is a little bit redundant. Who gets minutes though, Stanley or Alize? They're gonna have to compete in training camp. That's gonna be the kind of the idea here. It's gonna be a competition. Any more moves? It's interesting because we'll see what the plan is with kind of the bottom end of the roster with all of those wings. There's a lot of movement that still needs to be made with those wings, like Troy Brown Jr., Derrick Jones Jr., Stanley Johnson, and now Alize Johnson. Like, that's a lot of defensive minded wings. So something is going to have to give. But, you know, with Stanley Johnson, Derrick Jones Jr., Alize Johnson, like, they can play the 3 or the 4. Alize has size. He's a really, really good rebounder, guys. And rebounding is something that is going to be a premium for our team because of how good we are in transition. So, like, good rebounding will turn into offense most of the time with guys who can toss outlet passes like Vooch and Lonzo and DeMar. What's up, Rusty? Yeah, bro, there's Troy Baxter Jr. Did he get picked up by someone? I'm gonna use I'm making a meme right now. When does media day begin? I'm not sure about that, Connor. We should check on that. I don't know off the top of my head, and I don't know if it's been announced yet either. Hey, thank you for the follow. Alize Johnson's a freaking dog, though. Man, we really just want to attract Kevin Durant, but he just signed that extension. Kevin Durant loved this dude. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Daniel's tweet about KD. Yeah, dude, having a guy that KD likes would have been awesome, because he also likes Kobe White and Zach a lot, but just wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. I don't know, maybe he'll demand a trade. You never know with the league. But as far as it goes with like the 4, because that was an issue that we were all talking about, was like, okay, well, who's going to play the 4? You've got a lot of guys who can switch between positions. And Derrick Jones Jr. has experience playing the 4. So does Alize Johnson. So that's a little overblown in my opinion. What's up, Holvin? New member. Thank you. Welcome to the fan club. The super fan club. You know, it is greatly appreciated. So, what else are you guys thinking about today? I appreciate that, Holvin. I have that new video up, but about Stanley Johnson, but I didn't know the Alize Johnson stuff would drop immediately after, which is kind of funny. But I uploaded that one, and then we have this one. I don't know, maybe I'll do another video later on today. Shit is crazy. You never know with me. Y'all know I never... Now that I'm home, I'm glad... You know what? I'm very thankful. It's almost like AK and Mark Eversley knew that I wouldn't be home yet. So they had to wait until I got home to make these moves. The trade exception hasn't been touched yet, according to Hollinger. Thank you for pointing that out, Basketball Evaluation. Yeah, so if the Bulls want to move... like Derrick Jones Jr. or Stanley Johnson or someone else, they have that $5 million TPE that they could go ahead and maybe look for, like, I don't know, a stretch 4. You know, we're good on guards and forwards now, but like another 5 or a 4 would be great. I don't know. What do you guys think? Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. The blah. A little something for calling the Alize Johnson deal. I appreciate that a lot, man. Thank you for that. Now, Bulls are loaded right now. DeMarcus Cousins was a guy that I brought up too. I'd be happy, but like we'd have to get rid of someone on the team. I feel like Derrick Jones Jr. might be more at risk of getting traded. Connor, I'm from Steve, I'm from Scotland, the city where Sir Alex came from. Aldridge would have been nice. Aldridge, yeah, but it is what it is. Matt Thomas, we'll see what he does in preseason and training camp. Matt Thomas is going to be a camp body, sounds like. Still got to figure out what the situation with Kobe White is? Oh, trade for Jay Crowder. Oh, hey, now that's an idea that I love. If you were able to swing it for Jay Crowder, I just don't know. I don't know if that's enough. DJJ in a second. I don't think that's enough. Yeah, that's a great point. Baki? I might be totally butchering that. You gotta let me know. But these moves are logical. They make sense. These are common sense moves designed to be long-term winners, right? Like, the idea here is to create long-term success. Long-term success in Chicago. And Alize Johnson looks like Jimmy Butler, so like we have good history there. Yeah, Crowder is like, be nice, but I just don't know if we have the assets to get him, and if they would even want to give him up. He was such a big part of what they're doing. But yeah, the joke was that he looks like a cross between Lamar Jackson and Jimmy Butler, which I see it. I do. Bull's gonna surprise us on defense, Mac too much. Yeah. So that was the thing people were criticizing for a long time, was like, oh, well, this team doesn't have any defense and blah, 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 blah. Well, now we have a ton of defense. So let's cool it on that. Okay. Tony Bradley's like going way under the radar. And I'm like, y'all need to stop sleeping on Tony Bradley. He's going to be huge for us coming off the bench. He's going to be a huge part of the rotation. He was one of our first free agency signings, like literally right after Lonzo, DeMar, Caruso. After we made all that happen, it was Tony Bradley. Like, he was a target for this team. So yeah, I agree with Windy City 14. Derrick Jones Jr. is probably the most likely to get traded. Unfortunately, Trey Brown Jr. might be also, just because he's already under contract. I don't think we can trade Stanley Johnson right after signing him. I think there's like a window after signing him that we can't trade him. So the only guys that would be able to be traded would be guys we acquired in other trades or already on the roster. So that would be Trey Brown Jr., Derrick Jones Jr., Kobe White. But I like Trey Brown Jr. a lot, guys. You know that. You know, I'm a big Trey Brown Jr. believer, and I would love to find a way to get him into being a big part of the rotation. Nick says, I don't think Billy Donovan can coach this team. You know, that's an interesting point that a lot of people have brought up, is like, can Billy Donovan handle all of these different puzzle pieces and make the puzzle? We'll see. It's going to be a unique challenge for him. I think he's up to it because he has done really well in his career, managing guards and forwards, defensive-minded guards and forwards, and finding ways to put them in successful positions. So look at what he did with Lou Dort. You know, like I think that Billy Donovan will do well with this roster. Yeah, I'm with you, Holvin. I want to keep Trey Brown Jr. AK showcases Kobe White when he returns. Try to swing a trade. Maybe. Yeah, absolutely. What's up, Bailey? It's always possible that, you know, like, he comes back from his injury. And the idea there is like, let's see if we can up his trade value a little bit before the deadline. Or he comes back from his injury and is a huge part of our bench rotation, which would be great. Trey Brown Jr. is going to be a mini Patrick Williams off the bench, in my opinion. Trey Brown Jr. plays with that same kind of hustle, and I would argue Trey Brown Jr. plays with more energy than Patrick Williams does. Yeah, the United Center will fall in love with Trey Brown Jr. I'll say that. What's up, Jordan? I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for following and sticking with me, bro. I really, really appreciate that. More things to come, of course. A lot of good things to come. This is going to be a fun season, guys. Would you trade Antonio Gibson for D Swift and Marvin Jones Jr.? Do you have Antonio Gibson? Because and is it PPR? Kobe is a bucket. I don't want to undervalue Kobe. Yeah, Troy Brown Jr. is super young. Derrick Jones Jr. is pretty young. Alize Johnson's pretty young. Like, most of these guys are pretty young, bro. Like, building something here. Nick asks if I'm planning on going to any games this season. Heck, yes, I am, my friend. And I'll let you guys know. I mean, maybe we could do a little meetup or something. I would love to do it. But yes, I am absolutely going to some games this season. You guys will see me there. Think of the athleticism that this team has now. Alex said, I would love to have, or wish we had a backup like Taj Gibson. Yeah, man, I really wanted Taj too, but it is what it is. You know, he wanted to be with Thibs and D-Rose in New York, you know. It is what it is. Think of a Bulls team. This is a Bulls team with talent. Billy Donovan was at a Nets game in the playoffs with P. Will and a few other players. Maybe that could have been involved in the signing. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, that was a long time ago. A lot has changed since then. And obviously, like, who knew that Alize Johnson was going to be dropped, and who knew that LaMarcus Aldridge was going to get cleared to play again? So, like, a lot of things changed since then. But, you know, you're always scouting out players. Like, they are all the time, literally every day, I'm sure they are scouting players. So you never know. I mean, maybe they have a relationship behind the scenes that we don't know about either. But yeah, as far as trading Kobe, I'd like to keep him, man. I like Kobe White. I like his potential. And now there's so much less pressure for him to perform immediately coming off the bench. Gonna have a chip on his shoulder. You know, he was the starter last year, and he's gonna go into next season not being the starter. So, like, there's things, you know, players have motivations, players have things that they want to prove. And for Kobe, that might be a thing that he wants to prove people wrong about. Kobe White, 6th man of the year. Hey, man. You never know. If he develops into that Lou Williams kind of role that we want him to. A lot of people, I feel like, don't realize the struggles that Kobe White had last season, and, like, learning a new position under a new coach, you know, with a new role during COVID, and then Zach goes out. Like, there's so many, and then the trades, like, there are so many things that affected Kobe White's ability to be successful last season. I feel like we're forgetting how good this dude was his rookie season, and, like, how excited we were to get him more minutes. So we're going back to that. Like, we're going back to what made Kobe so exciting from the onset. Which is a flamethrower off the bench, a spark plug off the bench. So I would I would caution you to not throw around all the Kobe White trade stuff right now, especially because he's hurt. So like his trade value is already not great because he's coming into the season injured. So I understand some people are low on Kobe. I would say hold off on all that until we have a chance to see him play. You know, because there's a chance, man, that he is legitimately one of the best, you know, spark plugs off the bench in the NBA. Like Caruso and Kobe White are such a good bench backcourt because they cover up for each other's flaws. That's what I'm saying. Hey Ross, which role player that we acquired will have the biggest impact? Alex Caruso by far, if we're calling him a role player. Alex Caruso is going to be huge for this team. But if you want to say Alex Caruso isn't a role player, he's like a big part of our rotation, then it would be Tony Bradley. Tony Bradley is going to be a huge part of the bench unit, and it's Caruso by a mile, but if you're counting Caruso out, Tony Bradley for sure. Ali, you said can't see him wanting to ride the bench. Well, that's motivation for him to ball out even harder, right? Like, you don't want to ride the bench. Prove to us why you should be a starter. Kobe needs to stop fouling three-point shooters. Absolutely. Totally accurate. Totally accurate. But this is Casey Johnson. Bulls management putting the labor in Labor Day. No off days. No days off. Kobe was looking good with Vooch for a minute there, yeah. Yeah, the part of the season where Zach was out with COVID obviously was bad. You know, we lost a lot of games, but I did see some promising things from the Kobe White, Nikola Vucevic pick and roll. I like Kobe White's aggressiveness. He was not turning the ball over, but he was still aggressive with it, which was great. He was really limiting those turnovers. So Kobe, once again, man, just we got to see him play. Don't write Kobe off yet. Since you're going to go to a few Bulls games this season, can you do a vlog of what it's like at a Bulls game? I would love to. That would be awesome. I actually have something really cool planned that I can't talk about. So, something really cool that I can't talk about. So, just stay tuned on that one. Let's see. Greenberg just tweeted, Zach is excited about Stanley Johnson. I'm sure he's going to be excited about Alize Johnson as well. Kobe's more of a shooting guard. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair thing to say. Mac, too much one. I got a feeling AK has one more power move coming up. We still have the $5 million trade exception. Now, the blah mentioned that it might be no more moves until the trade deadline. It's very true. We might roll with what we've got right now and, you know, make adjustments as we see fit when we get closer to the trade deadline. There's so many options, man. Like, that's what happens when you put together a really good team like this. There are so many options. There's also players who might get bought out during the season and might be looking for a team. Like, there might be veteran players, talented veteran players who get bought out and want to go to another team, or players that want to get traded, players that don't want to be with their team anymore and they want to trade. Just so many things could happen, and so many great things have already happened. Who knows, man? Anything can happen. That's the beauty of the NBA. That's the beauty of Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley. Yes, sir. The Bulls signed Johnson & Johnson. Travis Scott followed. Wow. That's big. But thank you for the sub. Man, I'm so happy that we have a legit front office willing to make moves like this. Yeah, Christian Jones. I did talk about Matt Thomas a little bit. Sharpshooter, probably a camp body. Not a guy who I would expect to make the roster considering how deep we are at guard, but we'll see. You know, I've been impressed and surprised before by guys that I thought were just camp bodies. So you never know. You never, ever, ever truly know. Matt Thomas, like I said, a sharpshooter who's bounced around the league a bunch. Who was he last playing for? The Jazz or the Raptors or something. Just funny because we signed Stanley Johnson today, playing with the Raptors. The Red Rifle next Sunday. Nah, unfortunately. I mean, I'm excited for Bears football. Am I excited for Andy Dalton specifically? No, not really. No. Not really. Someone brought up height. Blake mentioned you don't have to be 6'9" to be a 4. No, I mean, bro, we've got plenty of players who can play the 4. Like I was talking about in that video I posted earlier about Stanley Johnson, that Trey Brown Jr. could probably play the 4. Trey Brown Jr. has the ability to switch between multiple positions. He plays taller than he actually is. Alize Johnson, same thing. Stanley Johnson, same thing. Derek Jones Jr., same thing. Like, this is what we've been talking about with AK and Mark Eversley and how much they value versatility. Versatility is so important for them. They love players who can switch between multiple positions. And that's what we have here. We have so many players, so many forwards, so many wings that can switch between guard, wing, forward. They can go 2, 3, 4, right? Like that is just so key, especially when you have DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball. Like you can mix and match the starting lineup and the backups. Like there are so many different ways to optimize these lineups. So that's going to be Billy Donovan's challenge. That's going to be a big challenge for him, is to make these lineups work. You know, find the best place for these guys to play. What will make them the most successful? Someone mentioned Marc Gasol. You know, maybe not. I don't know if that would really. I don't think he would play. I don't think he'd make a big difference for us. What signing / trade have you been most excited for so far in the offseason? It's DeMar DeRozan, easily. DeMar DeRozan just opens up what we're going to do on offense so much because he is able to break down the defense and make the right pass with the ball. His vision and his playmaking have both improved so much recently as he's aged in his career, and people are so overlooking. They talk so much about the three-point shooting and the defense. Yes, those things are problems for him. Of course they are. But being one of the absolute best playmakers in the NBA, one of the best setup men. He's one of the best setup men to get you open looks, either from range or at the rim. Zach LaVine is going to feast off of what DeMar DeRozan will do to a defense. So, and I'm going to do a Bulls Deep episode on DeMar DeRozan, but that's what makes me most excited. And obviously Lonzo Ball is our point guard of the future, bro. We got our point guard of the future. Trey Brown Jr. is too small. He might be. We also don't know what he's going to look like coming into the season. I mean, once again, dude's super young, could put on some more weight, could get a little stronger. But I just think the way that Trey Brown Jr. plays, I want him playing closer to the basket, right? More like a 4. Trey Brown Jr. gets rebounds. He plays taller than he actually is. He gets second chance points. Obviously, a very good point of attack defender. We've talked about that at length. But when it comes to offense, I want him close to the basket, looking for second chance opportunities with the he has the basketball IQ to know, like, okay, if Vooch is down low getting doubled, I can leak out to the perimeter and get myself a wide open shot. So it's things like that. The IQ of these players too, it should not go unnoticed. Derrick Jones Jr., Troy Brown Jr., Alize Johnson, just like extremely intelligent players, high IQ players. And someone mentioned, I think it was my guy MVP Aw. It's just at MVP Paw. About how Alize Johnson is a master of the push shot, and like has just mastered the ability to create separation off the push shot. Ninja, what's up, man? How was my experience in Chicago? Chicago was fantastic. I had a great time. I saw great people. I did a lot of fun things. Got to spend time with my family. I met a couple people from our community here, which was really cool. A couple people like recognized me, which was crazy. But really nice people. Just really blessed to be back in the city. So I can't wait to get back. I was like, I just want to stay. I don't want to leave, but had to come home. Got a little homesick towards the end, but you know, maybe one day I'll move back. That's kind of the plan. Fred Van Vliet wants to join the Bulls. I'm sorry, man. This bus is full. You hopped on a little too late. All right, guys, I'm going to go make an Alize Johnson video, and then I got to go spend some time with the family. It's Labor Day. I'm not supposed to be working, but I'm working hard. I already made a video. I already did a live stream, and now we're going to make a third video. I'm going to go work on that right now. I got to get that out. So thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry if you just joined. I didn't mean to give you guys a little tease, but we'll do another live stream maybe later tonight, maybe after I get home from dinner. Maybe we could do another live stream, because I love doing these live streams, guys. I really love that you guys show out. I just like, it was so funny. I finished uploading the video about Stanley Johnson. Like, it literally got to 100%. And then the Alize Johnson news dropped on my phone. And I'm like, ah, shit. Well, I posted the video. I'm like, I'm going to hop on live. So that's what we did. But I still want to make a full-length Alize Johnson video to talk about what I like about him. So I'll work on that next. But thank you guys so much for hanging out and watching. If you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe. If you're on Twitch, if you want to join the subscriptions, I always got cool shit coming out. I'm trying to do more interesting ways to interact with my Twitch audience, because YouTube and Twitch, you know, I'm trying to make sure that everybody feels the love. But on YouTube, you can join the Super Fan Club. It's only $4.99 a month. You get exclusive videos, early access to videos, emojis, badges, exclusive ways to communicate with me, and behind-the-scenes content. I got that out really well. That was a good one. I'm at Arturus Fan Club on all platforms. I love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. And we will talk trust me, very soon. The Stanley Johnson video is out. Alize Johnson video coming soon. We will talk very soon. Have a great day, guys. We'll talk later. Enjoy your Labor Day. Go relax. Take your